evening. Our top story this week. The FBI announces the takedown of 150 pimps who were trafficking children for sex and the rescue of 105 sexually exploited teenagers, with about 60% of those kids being recruited into the business after running away from their foster and group homes. A South Carolina court finalizes the adoption of baby Veronica and sets a hearing on how to transfer the custody to the adoptive parents from the care of her fit and loving father. And the U.S. Supreme Court denies a request from the real fit and loving father for a hearing to determine what would be in the child's best interest and instead washes their hands of the whole thing. In Connecticut, the child protective industry is looking to build a new state-run facility to incarcerate girls who break the law. In California, a blue ribbon panel is tasked with examining Los Angeles County's child protective industry, looking for ways to end a continuous rash of CPS failures. Now, 4 Los Angeles CPS agents have been fired because they failed to protect an 8-year-old boy who was killed while under their watch. In California, foster kids are getting sick of the way they have been treated and are now organizing and calling for changes to the system. In Kentucky, the state's 2 largest newspapers are battling the child protective industry in court over the records pertaining to the deaths of children who were killed while under CPS watch. But Kentucky social workers are arguing against making the records public for fear of upsetting some people or blowing their scam wide open, and by claiming that releasing the details of the child abuse deaths would harm the families who lost the kids. In Florida, researchers from the University of South Florida are fighting with the state over the right to exhume the once hidden graves of young boys who mysteriously died while at a reform school back in the 1960s and 70s. A 3-year-old boy who drowned in a dirty pool is the 5th kid to die while under Florida's DCF watch in the last 2 months. So now Florida's child protective industry wants to start working with law enforcement on child welfare cases. In Massachusetts, the state starts weeding out foster parents who support traditional family values and say that families who won't support their children's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered identities can no longer be foster parents. In Nevada, the child protective industry is investigating abuse allegations at Clark County group homes, with one group home operator adamantly denying any wrongdoing. In New Zealand, parents who are battling to get their children back from state foster care are being held up by 2-month delays to get hold of their official records. In Nigeria, an 11-year-old girl was set on fire by her foster mother. In Canada, a group of protesters go up against the child protective industry in North Kamloops, British Columbia. And in Australia, a group of foster parents are pissed because the kids have been removed from their care. In England, the system sucks have a new reason to rejoice since the government took away Doncaster Council's power to, quote, protect children, end quote, and decided to hand the whole thing over to private social service agencies. Watchdogs are accusing Liverpool Council of unjustly underpaying foster parents for looking after stolen kids. Since the 2007 killing of baby P, the UK has managed to double its number of child removals and take 10,000 kids into foster care in a single year. And Microsoft's search engine Bing will now issue pop-ups warning pedophiles that child abuse material is illegal thanks to the British government's crackdown on internet child porn. In entertainment news this week, Simon Cowell knocks up his girlfriend who is embroiled in a child custody fight with her husband who says that she is a bad parent who spends too much time away so she can hang out with celebrities. In Alaska, police are looking for more victims of a foster molester who had been at it for years. In Florida, a child sex trafficking victim is raped at her group home just days after getting there. And in Indiana, a couple is arrested for the sexual abuse of 4 foster kids in their care. In Pennsylvania, a judge orders Penn State University's former president and 2 other top administrators to trial for helping Jerry Sandusky to cover up his child sex abuse crimes. There are more charges laid against a Pennsylvania foster parent who was charged with sex assault back in June after new victims come forward, one dating back to 1996. And in Utah, charges are dropped against a woman who is accused of having sex with her friend's foster son. In Indiana, police are searching for the adoptive father of a boy who told his teachers that he was being tortured at his home. In Iowa, a real mother is arrested this week for threatening a baby stealer back in the summer of 2012. In Maine, a 14-year-old boy was arrested on multiple charges after allegedly assaulting and threatening to kill staff members and residents at a home for troubled youth. In Kentucky, a foster family doubts the guilt of their former foster kid who is on trial for murder. And in Illinois, a judge refuses to lower the $2 million bond set for a foster mother who killed a child in her care back in 2011. In Texas this week, a foster mother is charged in the death of a 2-year-old girl. Now the real father is speaking out about the ordeal because the only thing him and the mother did wrong was smoke pot, but now the kid is dead. The foster care agency that had placed the child with the killer already had a history of violations piling up against them. And now the Texas court-appointed special advocates are using the kid's death as a springboard to launch a campaign to recruit more CASA puppets, claiming that if the little girl had only had a CASA, she might still still be alive today, regardless of the fact that she'd probably still be alive today had she been left in the care of her real parents. In Alabama, a judge approves a settlement that allows a divorced couple's children to have overnight visits with their mother and her lesbian partner. In Nevada, a conduct hearing is delayed for a family court judge who was caught presiding over cases led by a prosecutor with whom he had a romantic relationship. In Alaska, CPS agents are living in fear and looking for ways to beef up security after pissing one couple off enough to cause them to make terroristic threats and spit at them. A Russian girl who was adopted by a Texas couple will get counseling thanks to the post-traumatic stress disorder she got from being sexually abused by the adoptive parents. And finally, tonight, a Texas CPS agent is fired for posting racially insensitive tweets to her Twitter account. For these stories and all the latest dirt on the child protective industry, visit www.legallykidnapped.com. And until next week, this is Baby LK, over and out.